Hello class. Today we are going to look at how we find the key features of a graph with a calculator. So your essential question is, how do I find key features of a graph with a calculator? This is only good for any graphing calculator. A regular calculator without the graphing feature will not work. So your learning intention, I'm learning to find key features of a graph with a graphing calculator. So we've already learned how to find the zeros with the calculator, so pause the video and find the zeros with your graphing calculator. Okay, I hope you did. First step is to put it into your y equals button. Then you hit graph. Okay, I've got this as a zoom standard, and it looks like I need to be able to see this piece in here closer. So if I start at about -2 and go to 5 on the x values, and then on the y values, I will go from -5 to +5. Once I graph, I should be able to see it better. And now you can see where it goes across. You've got a little bit more distance, so you can easily find it with the second and trace button. Okay, I've graphed it, I've adjusted the window. Second trace, I'm looking for my first zero. So left bound means the left side. So this is the point I'm looking for. This is the left side on the graph. So I hit enter. I scroll over, up above the point, I hit enter again. I hit enter a third time, and that first point is 1, 0. Okay, when I saw x to the third, I knew I would have up to 3 zeros. So I've got 1, 2, 3. So it's time for the second one. Same thing. Second, trace. 2 for my zeros. This time, here's my point. This is my left bound or my left side. I hit enter. I go down below the point I'm looking for. Hit enter a third time. My second point is 2, 0. And finally, a third time. Second trace, number 2. This time, I've got, this is my left side of this point I'm looking for. Go up above for my right bound or right side. Hit it a third time, and it's 3, 0 for the third one. Okay, first thing we have to do are some definitions. Why? Because we've got to understand what we're looking at. Your maximum is the point on the graph where the y-coordinate is the largest. Remember, if we're looking at a line, if we're looking at that straight line, where does it go? It starts from where and goes to where? Well, think about Buzz Lightyear. A line goes to infinity and beyond, which means that our maximum point might not be a point at all, but simply somewhere in infinity. So we can always have a positive infinity as a maximum. It can also have a point depending on what kind of a graph you're looking at. So the point on the graph where the y-coordinate's the largest is your maximum. A local maximum is simply a point where the slope of the graph changes from positive to negative. Okay, let's think about what we're saying. We have a graph. The graph goes up, and it comes back down and goes back up again. Okay, a local maximum will be this point right here, where it changes from going positive to going negative. Okay, so maximum, minimum, local maximum, minimum. If the maximum is the point where the y-coordinate is the largest, the minimum is the point where the y-coordinate is the smallest. Okay, now, just like this could go to positive infinity, it can also go to negative infinity. Doesn't necessarily mean it is, but it could be. And if we're looking at the graph again, we'll look at that same graph again. This time, this is a local minimum, or that is for the next part. So it can go to positive infinity. What I was showing you was a local minimum. A local minimum, local maximum is the point on the graph where the slope changes from positive to negative. So the minimum is where it changes from negative back to positive. This time we're going down and then we're going to come back up. Okay, and just like the graph I was showing you, we're going to use that same graph. Each time I draw it, it looks a little different, but it's supposed to be the same. And this would be a local minimum. So, to be able to use the graphing calculator to find minimums or maximums, we do exactly like we did for the zeros, except the last two steps. Graph the equation and under y equals. Second, then trace. Remember, you might have to adjust the screen at this point if you can't see it well. For minimum, you use number 3 under that second and then trace button. For maximum, you use number 4. So, we're going to go through how to do it, and we're going to draw a rough graph of this equation. Now, I've already got the equation into my graphing calculator. That was to speed up a little bit. So I'm going to go under y equals, going to make this one so it doesn't show up, and then I'm going to come down here, I'm going to hit enter, go out. Now I know that I've adjusted my window, so I'm going to hit zoom 6 and it will give me my square again. Zoom 6. Now I'm ready to use second and trace to find what I need to find. Okay, second, trace. The first we're supposed to draw the rough sketch. So as I'm looking at my graph, I'm going to look at those important spots. Okay, if I'm right here, this is negative 1, 2, 3, right before negative 4. 1, 2, 3 is where I crosses the x-axis. This peak is at -3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe a little over 6, -3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to put it right here. Then I come back down, and my next point would be just a little past -1 on my x-axis. It goes across the y-axis at -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then it comes back through before it goes to infinity, just a little over 1. Okay, so I'm ready to graph now. A lot of you can do this really well, where I don't do it really well because I can't do that visual very well. So I'm going to start here, I'm going to come up, and I'm going to go through the point and come back down and go back up again. And that is a rough graph of what it looks like. So if you're looking at this, it's not too bad. Let's find our zeros. Okay, second, trace, number 2. I've got 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to start with the first one. I've got to go to the left side of this on the graph, which is down below. I hit enter. Up above, I hit enter. I hit enter a third time, and it says -3.85. So this is about -3.9, comma 0. Okay, second trace, 2 again for my next 0. Go up over the top. This time I stop on this up above because it's the left side of the point. Enter down below. Enter, enter. -1.30. And for my last one, this one's going to be the positive one. Second trace, 2. This time I'll be down below the point. That's your left side. Hit enter. Up above is your right side. Hit enter. Hit enter a third time, and it's positive 1.20. Those are your 3 zeros. Okay, so as I'm looking at the graph, the maximum, where does it go? Well, it goes clear to infinity. So our maximum is positive infinity. A local max is found right here. This is where it's positive and it changes into a negative slope. So same thing. Second, trace. I look down here, maximum is 4, so I just hit 4. I've got to scroll all the way to the left side. There I am. I hit enter. I go up over that peak, hit enter a third time, and this is negative 2.8, 6.2. Okay, let's look at our minimums now. Minimums is the smallest x coordinate. As you can see, it goes clear down to infinity. It's not going to stop. So my minimum will be negative infinity because it goes forever. My local minimum is where this changes from a negative slope to a positive. So I hit second trace. I want a minimum, which is 3. Same thing again. Get close to the point on the right side or left side. Hit enter. Go around to the right side. Hit enter. Hit enter again. You do not have to try to put that little cursor on top. It will move itself. So this is negative. No, this is positive 0.1. and negative 6.1. Okay, so we went through a good example. If you're still struggling, back the video up and watch it again. So what are the things you need to remember? Well, first of all, you have to graph. So you'll start off by graphing. Always graph. Okay, now after I've got it graphed, I might not be able to see it. So I need to adjust the window if I need to. Okay, so I've got it graphed, I've adjusted the window. Then what do I do? Well, this is where you go to your second button, that blue button, then trace, and pick out the correct number. If it's a 0, it's 2. If it's the minimum, it's 3. If it's a maximum, it's 4. There's other things we'll do, but that's all we're learning right now. Okay, so now what do we do? Left bound, left side, enter. Right bound. That's your right side. Enter again. And do a third enter, and you've got the correct point then. Remember, you hit enter 3 times. So 3 times you have to hit enter. The first one is to show it where the left side is. The second one is to show it where the right side is. You don't care about the guess, so when you hit enter that third time, it will take you to the point. You do not have to move the point around. It is automatic. So normally you'll have to round. So this is how you use the graphing calculator to find your key features. And you know you're successful when you can do that. So graphing to find key features is what we're doing. No math involved, just a lot of button pushing.